they play a role, and the role is to act as the conscience of these employers sometimes. For instance, the ambulance that they have been using in Trinidad and Tobago to some extent is like the Red Cross ambulance, like a bread van. It's like a small
Oh,
mini maxi that they put people in. It's not the best. All right. An ambulance should be something that has a separate containment section in the back for those who are sick, whether they have disease or whatever, and you have all the necessary, um, all the requisite facilities and equipment to put
within
in the
it
back
to be
like
able
where
a
you
to,
fib,
treat that patient
to
behind it.
stabilize a
All right.
person to get them to the
Stable
hospital.
that precisely.
like a
Yeah. And
fibrillator.
it's, and the shock system of the
Yes.
vehicle is different also too. So that doesn't happen. That is where they're spending bad money buying all of these bread vans and trying to retrofit them. Also too,
So
MRI machines.
what part you play to correct that
Well,
system as a union?
we are just an advocate. We are an advocate. So we are going to challenge it. They're going to say, well, look, this is not working. It's going to place a risk to our member lives in this manner. So we could only challenge it from that viewpoint. But when the public is concerned, we cannot say, cannot protect the public, save and except to tell the public that that machine isn't good. All right. I wanted to say that there are times when trade unions must embrace a social cause. So when Ebola came out, all right, um, I remember taking a strong position saying to the government, if they do not prepare the hospitals for Ebola, we are going to shut down earlier. And I began engaging the then Minister for Dr. Fuad Khan on a regular basis, publicly on the TV, about the hazmat suits, about the containment center, about the type of lab that's required to do the test. And so a lot of what we see today as COVID readiness was in preparation when Ebola came. All right? Because there seem to be diseases that are very
Wow.
dangerous and contagious, etc. So we could play that type of role in pushing change from a public perspective, but there must be a relationship between the worker and the statement we are making, because
Yes.
we don't want to get into politics as trade unionists. But me being a politician, I could flip off my hat and I could raise the questions about the MRI machine in particular, because these days people in Tobago are obese, and some of the machines they are bringing in is discriminating against obese people. They cannot fit into the machine. So these persons are entitled and they have a
Wow.
right to take an MRI, but they cannot take one in Tobago because the machine is too small. So they're buying machines that are based on a budget when it shouldn't be. They should buy machine based on objective. The objective should be that no one in Tobago who wants an MRI, who wants this, who wants that done, should have to go to Trinidad. We must buy the best machines that are available in their field.
How
And
many
we must
MRI
train
machines
people
are
to use
in?
it.
How many
Mhm.
machines are in Tobago at the hospital?
Well, none. I say none deliberately because an MRI machine that is not working is not an MRI machine.
And this
All
is a
right?
machine that we're talking about people who they want to look inside your body and they're going to be able to detect what's in your body, like cancer, like something
Yeah.
wrong with your lung, something's wrong with your kidney, something's wrong with your pancreas. So we're saying that we don't have a machine like this in Tobago, and their cancer rates are just going up and up and up and up and up and up. And when I was living in Tobago, being here in New York, every time I'm hearing that people are dying of cancer. Also, what about strokes as well?
Yeah.
Too. So you're saying there's not a machine on an island of 60,000 people
Plus
and
60,000.
60,000 plus people, and that there are people in place with the capacity and the authority and the funds and the resources to do this, and there are people who are okay with the fact that my grandmother come down sick. We can't carry her to the hospital because there's no MRI. We have to rush her to Trinidad. People are okay with this?
Well,
But it's
Keino,
business. It's
Keino
business.
and
It's business,
Watson,
you know.
Keino and
Business
Watson,
for the business people.
Keino and Watson,
Yeah.
you two jump in big time thing, you know. Then they even get ultrasound. Not even ultrasound, Keino. Don't talk about MRI alone, you know. Ultrasound.
And these are
Yeah.
equipments that doctors need. I'm not a
These are,
doctor, but these are equipment that doctors need to do their
really? You're
basic
not a,
work.
you're not a doctor, Keino?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not a doctor.
Oh, and all them
These are equipments that
and
they
all them
need for their
medical and
basic
all
work.
them medical question, Keino. Keino, go ahead. I love it. Tell them.
And people are okay with this.
Yes, people are okay with it because they are friends with the government and they are friends with people they don't want to offend. And when you have friends and you have family who seem to be okay with things, you seem to be okay with it too because you do not want to offend them. And
Hmm.
that's one of the problems we are having into Tobago. People do not want to offend people. So they prefer to go to Trinidad and get the MRI. You know, people, one woman did a pap smear and she's waiting for her results 2 years now. 2 years now of pap smear. But yet they
I
have a
know.
pink room. Yet they have a pink room in our fall. So I'm saying they're spending money, buying things. They're writing all these nice policies on this and that. But the people who ought to be the custodians of our democracy, the people who ought to be the architects of transparency, they ought to see what transparency should look like. We, the people, ought to see what transparency look like and what accountability should be. We are
Explain
empowered to do so.
explain to the people what is a pink room.
Well,
Is
the
where you
pink
get
room
a pink room is where
is the room that is that as the color says pink is a female room. All right, and
I
they
know,
do
but
a lot of female tests there. So they'll test for cancer. They'll get a pap smear. They're supposed to do biopsy and all of these things there, and different things relating to women illness, women health. So they call it a pink room. But the pink room is ill-staffed and ill-equipped, and so therefore nothing goes on there except politicking. To get a proper person to come that come ever so often from Trinidad, it's not good enough. Again, that's wastage of money. We have to ensure that the things in Tobago works. We must ensure that things in Tobago works. And it seems as if it's okay to have things broken. Allow me to say this, it may be controversial, but
can
Tobago,
you
there's
can you
nothing
walk off the street?
that, well,
Can you walk off the street and enter a pink room where you have to get referral and all kind of thing?
I'm not sure how it goes.
Can you walk off
If you
the
can walk off,
streets and get in?
I'm not, no, I can't say if that's the case, it's not the case. I really can't say if that's the case or not the case.
So I understand that
Yeah.
somebody said that they heard that the ultrasound machine is working. Somebody did an ultrasound at Scarborough General Hospital yesterday, and now it's working. But this is something that shouldn't even be news. You're supposed to have a
You
machine
understand
there.
me?
This is not like a. I mean, this is.
And
That is
and
why
let's
we
get
have
it
to
clear,
vote.
it's not
That
good
is why we have
enough
to vote the
for the
same way.
country.
Because when you went, you get through. The other person who's saying that there wasn't any when they went, you're ready to contradict them because we lying on the government. We're not lying on anybody. People told me before that they
Yeah.
went for ultrasound and couldn't get it.
Yeah, we need to ensure that there are more than one machines on the island at any
Of
point in time.
course.
Not one. You can't that Scarborough Hospital that's in Signal Hill should have been a training center where people who should be trained. We should be encouraging health tourism where persons could come and get healthcare relatively cheap, like in Cuba. All right, healthcare is cheap and it's professional in Cuba. Right now, sometimes in Venezuela, you can get certain things cheap. It may not be the best time to go now, but up to recently, you have gotten things done cheaply and efficiently there. Tobago has a lot of good doctors, like your daughter, Dr. Cindy Duke, professional. But if she was to come here, she couldn't have worked because they would not give her the equipment, the room space, nor the support mechanism that is required to get the job done. You can imagine a place like Tobago, simple things like cooking gas has run out. You imagine that?
Wow.
It's like cooking gas has run out.
So
The gas for your vehicle sometimes run out, a place like Tobago. But if you want the glasses, you have to wait for it to go to Trinidad to come back up. But if you want your ID card, the ID card must go to Trinidad and come back up. Where if you get married, your marriage certificate must go to Trinidad. If it's not registered in Trinidad, you're not married. You must understand that if your birth is only registered here and not in Trinidad, you have not been born. This is the kind of foolishness
Really?
that
I
is
didn't know they
passing for
used to send
government.
it to
What
Trinidad.
we have in Tobago here is only a starting unit. We don't have a general hospital here. What we have is not a general hospital. We have Port of Spain General, San Fernando General, but we have something called a regional. We don't do everything in Scarborough. And we have good doctors here, professional doctors, but they are
Some of them.
not allowed to
What about-
practice proper healthcare.
what about things like a defibrillator? I remember back in 2017, I was
You want
living
a
in
defibrillator?
Yeah, I was living in Charlotteville at the time, and I was working at the supermarket, and there was pulling scene right by the beach there, and I went outside to just help them pull scene, and right there pulling scene with this guy collapsed on the floor there and died literally on the center. If he had a defibrillator, and we tried to work on him. A few people who knew CPR was there working on him, and he passed away right there on the sand. What about things like defibrillators in ambulances so that the technicians who are going out, can help to maybe resuscitate people and so on? Are there machines like that in the hospital as well too that could restart people?
But
They have it too.
They should. Right? But again,
How many they have?
Tobago should not be in a position for us to even ask those questions. Tobago should have every single thing because we are
And we want to emphasize on this show. We want to emphasize, Brother Watson and Brother Keino. Defibrillators cannot be used by every and anybody. You have to be trained. So we're just doing everything back before behind. We put in the cart and the horse in the direction where the horse should have been and the cart should not have been. And hence the reason why we still will have crazy deaths and unexplained deaths and unexplained injuries after a technician touch you because they're not well trained. After a nurse touch you during your pregnancy, you and your baby will still die because they don't know what to do. So here we are at this point. We are almost 2 hours. We have touched some real serious points. However, we still have more. We are going to see how many more we can do because, Brother Watson, you didn't hear without a clue. You knew exactly you're coming on Mama Coco. You'd never take any questions from me before, so you are just doing it because of your knowledge, which is powerful. We love it. We love that you know what you are about. We love that you know why you want to be the politician of many people's choice. We love that you can come on the spot and answer to this technical officer over here that we call Keino Baird. Yeah, Keino asking some real high-tech questions. And we're so glad that you are able to really answer the question with such efficiency. So we have another question here for you, Watson. Oh, this is the same one.
Yeah.
Do we have another question for you?
Yeah. What is
Watson,
the THA?
as head of the PSA.
Go ahead.
The PSA. Yeah. As head of the PSA, what is the educational situation in Tobago in this time of COVID? We want you to say something because a lot of people suffering understand that half of Dalaford Catholic school doesn't even have technology for the children. Some of them using their mother's phone. And
Yeah.
some people in Tobago, they never get the new style phone. They never get the high-tech phone. Tell as head of PSA
Thank you
Association, I
for.
think his
Yeah.
internet.
No, mine is good. I think that you all hear me, you know?
Yeah, we hear
Very
you.
well, very well.
Right good.
You go ahead.
Right, lovely. I think that the situation of education in a time of COVID speaks to a larger issue. It speaks to how well we have been
I am going
prepared
to, I am
for
going
a
to, I am
time.
going to check out. I am going to go out and come
Okay,
back. You keep,
Yeah.
you guys keep talking.
Go ahead,
right.
Mr. Duke.
So education in a time of COVID speaks to a large issue, which is the issue of preparedness. How have we been prepared to treat with learning that is outside of the classroom? For years, they have fooled us and give us the knowledge that if you don't go to Bishop School, if you don't go to this particular school, you're not a bright kid. And they discourage home learning. What COVID is saying to our education system that yes, home learning is still the best learning, and it is something that we must get used to and perhaps get used to for life because COVID is going to change the entire world permanently. It's going to create a new hybrid student, a new hybrid worker, a new hybrid businessman. You have to mix and match and move along quickly in order to benefit and to keep a pace in this COVID time. So to be a little more directly, not that this is a base, to be more direct with the question is that Tobago is not quite ready for education in this COVID time. As one of, as Sister Cora said, Mama Coco said, that many students are still grappling with learning devices. They are using their phone. And phone and technology is one thing. The otherness is how well are they prepared in their home, insofar as being comfortable to carry out the learning. Because education is more than a device. It is an entire space, an atmosphere. And school is a place with little distractions, but home is a place filled with distractions. Some you like and some you don't like. What about child molestation? What about the whole issue of children going astray? You're forcing the parents to go out and you're leaving the children there to be supervised by someone else. I would like
I
to say that they
I
have,
want to I
um,
want to
go ahead.
interject. Before you go further, I want you to hit this point. Let us get into single parents who are, they have to go to work. They need someone in the house. Many of them cannot go to work anymore. Some of them are young entrepreneurs and they have a
Yeah.
business to run. But they have their kids to supervise during the day and to be there to help them to get along because some of the teachers doesn't even know how to use a computer well themselves. Let us talk, Brother Watson.
Yeah, and certainly. So we're saying that the education is more than the device. It has to do with the environment. And it speaks to a whole society. In some societies, the entire environment is not even proper for a child to learn. All right. And had the government been looking after communities the way they should, then this whole COVID would have simply been an opportunity to teach the world more about our communities and less about our desire for these devices. Because number one, we should have been manufacturing things like that here. Trinidad and Tobago is a hub, okay, for the entire Caribbean. You know, you can't even access a computer now in Trinidad and Tobago. Even if you want to buy one, there's no computer available because you weren't prepared for it. You weren't prepared for it. All right.
So how
So now
so
that
how so how and why
so because
this education minister
mhm,
Give the laws to open up schools, but the schools and the students, the community not ready. What is she doing to
Well,
rectify that while the curriculum is running?
to me, it's madness. You know, what I mean, I even heard the former chief secretary saying something that for teachers who have no proper internet at home, they can go to school and use the internet in school. And I asked him in my response to his statement in the sitting, I say you are catering for teachers to go to school and learn via the internet system. What about the students who have no internet at home? They don't have a luxury. And
Mhm.
chances are they are in a worse condition to acquire their own internet as opposed to a teacher who receives a salary and could acquire an internet. As someone said, mental health. During COVID time, a lot of people are being mentally challenged, I should say, because if a restriction, not being able to go outside, you're sitting behind a computer whole day, it can be very frustrating. So we have not yet thought this thing through. And I would say that you'll have to engage all stakeholders and ensure that even while a child is home, there must be a guardian
It must be
protecting
a guardian
and looking after the child. Because now we could find things like the harassment of children, the
and
interference
porn.
of children going more, and even the luring of children into gangs, and all of these things could take place more. We have to protect our children. And who is best to protect the children than their mothers, who will love the children more than their parents, mother and father? How does the society now regulate what we call work-life balance? Because while you're at work, there's a life you have to balance. How do they balance that? In some communities, more and more persons are working from home. You know, recently in England, just this week in UK, the permanent secretary in the cabinet office, he said, look, we have to reduce the footprint in the White House because most persons are now working from home and we have a big building that is not used. So he's thinking that he should sell the White Hall in England, UK. Sell it. Sell it to a private investor because it's not being used. And we now have a hybrid type of worker who wouldn't go back there. Likewise, all these schools that we have creating them, we spend money on repairing them for August holiday and so on. So, it's big business. Should we return back to those schools or should we now create a new system where parents could spend a certain time of day with their children, all right, and a certain time of day working from home? And I think that's good.
Do you think that
That's
the schools are going to be possibly, because with Carnival canceled right now, do you think what's the likelihood of schools being reopened coming for the January term? Where are you with that? Where do you think what's going to happen there?
I don't see school opening in this January term. I don't see it at all. I really don't see it. I believe it's all a joke. And I would want to say that I would want to see more serious mindedness insofar a more serious mind, a more holistic approach toward our nation's children. They are not scapegoats. Right now, they are given the short end of the stick. Yes, they are home, but with all of this energy, what type of extracurricular activities are being planned for these children? Hmm? Sitting down behind a computer whole day damages you.
Mhm.
People are supposed to be getting up every 45 minutes, walk around, stretch their arms, do something like that. But they are there sometimes for the whole day, 4 hours. That's madness. These are young children. Sometimes they damage the bone in the back because the bone in the back are soft and they end up with a bouncy back,
Mhm.
a bend back, because they don't even have proper computer chairs at home, you know? And when you're typing, there's a particular position that you're supposed to be in. These chairs are supposed to be ergonomically designed to suit the children. You can't give them an adult chair to sit down and expect them to be in proper posture. They will damage themselves. So this is not just mental insofar as it's not just education, it's mental. It impacts them mentally, it impacts them socially because they're not seeing their friends. I mean, that level of growth and development and embracing is not taking place. It affects them physically in that they are in certain fixed position every single day. I mean, it's just not properly thought out. It will require more work and a more holistic approach for us to really exploit the benefits of that social or media education, what we call Zoom classes.
I know we're not doctors here, but even their future fertility life is in jeopardy. Sitting down wrong, young boys sitting down in their stuff with their laptop on their crutches, with a laptop on the lap, you understand me? All these things. And what I don't like is how you're smart. You have a doctorate degree. We don't know in what, but at the same time, you're claiming that you're a doctor, but you're endangering people. You're endangering the young people.
Yeah.
We have to employ carpenters now to make different school desks. Make different school desks that appear at home that have 2 children can sit, or make them singularly because each child might be in a different class.
And they must
so when
be,
you give a mother,
and Mama Coco, those furnitures must be ergonomically designed. Every single child must have one's designed for his structure. Every single child. There is a particular posture that the child must be in when they are working. Their feet must be flat on the ground. Their back must be properly supported, pushed up, right? And their hands must be slightly tilted downwards on the keyboard. Not up like this, must slightly be downwards like this, all right? And they must be able to move. But having them, drilling them there, you are damaging their posture, and people are not looking at that. Listen to me. I'm not sure if they are trying to create a situation to make money from the poor people later on in life, because not only are they destroying the capacity of our children to be healthy, even senior people, they're destroying our capacity. It's against the laws of God to tell someone to wear a mask in public, because they are telling you to breathe half breath, to play with your carbon dioxide, the thing that your body is pushing out. They're telling you play with that some more.
Wow.
So you are not releasing it out in the open where it dissipates. You have to deal with the carbon dioxide in that confined, and the more tight your mask. If it's a 99%, if it's a 91, 99%, it means it's 99% sealed. So it remains inside for a while. I mean, you're looking at yourself.
Those
somebody
things,
needs to see
those things.
The World Health Organization. Yes, we understand you, but you're messing with our health.
No, some of these things. Remember, a surgeon wear a mask all day. A surgeon can't take off mask and do surgery.
A surgeon wear a mask for a particular period. He throws it away. He gets a next mask. You have a mask on
you mean with
in and out.
No.
Yeah. Those masks
the kind of mask,
for a particular time.
no, the kind of mask that surgeons wearing now, that they're wearing it all day. Trust me.
Hold it.
Dr. Duke could come on the show now and tell you, because she's a surgeon. Dr. Duke, you want to come on and say something concerning mask and surgeries? Because
the mask is supposed to be for 4 hours. You could change your mask.
You see, no, you have to come on now, because we're going to have about 2 more questions before we close for today. And there will be a part 2 of this with you, Brother Duke. Are you going to come back?
Well, I have no choice. You have already introduced the part 2.
Yes.
I like the way you ask the question.
Yes, I asked because it's a kind of an ask in demand of, because we need you.
I would.
This is who you are. No. You're not only a politician. You're a teacher. You're a union leader. You are part of people's way of life and life living, quality of life living. And this is the question on the screen.
I love my job, yeah. All
right. Let me read the question. It says...
This is the question on the screen here. Keino, can you read
it? Sure. It says the THA Chief Sec recently
The
made a
KHA
proud
chief said,
post about helping a Tobagonian get her gratuity after 10 years of waiting. What accounts for this unacceptable delay? How many people died before getting it or getting their gratuity?
It's very
Brother Watson,
insulting.
do that is for
And
you. But I want
yes,
to bring you in on a little thing. My brother Kenneth Panty, he was getting real problems until he saw you. And he told you that everything gonna be all right. I'm going to look into it. You remember that?
I remember them, of course. I did.
Because he wanted
I
his
remember
money,
that.
and a good thing he got his money. He's not here anymore.
Yeah.
So he would have died
Thank
without
God he got
getting
through.
his check. Amen.
Yeah.
So speak on this right
Amen.
now.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. As the PSA president, the people who process gratuity in Trinidad are my people and my members. It happens in Inland Revenue, it happens in the Treasury, and all that type of stuff. One of the key towards a quick processing of a gratuity is the preservation of your information. Based on law, every single person who's about to be retired 3 months before they retire ought to bring in all of their documentation. And before you go home, you should have on your desk all of all of your entitlements, your gratuity, your pension, etc. And upon your last working day, you should collect your gratuity check. And the next month that comes, you should collect your pension. That is the way the thing's supposed to work.
National
But
insurance.
but the same thing with national insurance too. All supposed to look in that type of way. You collect it, there's no lapse period. You get it promptly. But these things have found a way to return the money to the nation treasury without you getting it. It's a very smart way. They have corrupted the system by using an old archaic system where your file is now the means for your calculation to take place. And so they will say to you, they can't find your file. They will say to you, important information in your file is missing. They will say to you that they are waiting on someone to view your file. Your file is at this place. By the time you're finished with that, you're frustrated because bills are mounting and new things are happening and you cannot take care of yourself. What we propose as the progressive democratic patriots is part of our philosophy. People in Tobago must not have their documents going to Trinidad for approval. Your documents must be done across here. And secondly, Trinidad must stand up on a yearly basis the amount of money to pay pensionable
Somebody
people
listening,
within the country.
somebody playing something. We need to. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
So you are saying and you are saying that we shouldn't have paper filing anymore.
No, we should
You
not.
know
We
that
should
this
not. We should
person
not.
is 58 years of age, and you
That
know
should
that
not
the
happen at
going home
all.
date is 60. By the
I
time
could
you reach 58, all your documents should be ready for payment.
I can admit to you that I have close friends who commit suicide because they did not get their gratuity on time and the bills were mounting. These are people who were very dedicated and committed to their service. And when they retire, they got nothing. And for months and years, they got nothing. And they go back and they argue and they got nothing and they commit suicide. I recall another person, a female this time now, who was on the verge of committing suicide also too, because they couldn't have a pension. The person came to me and said, look, at least enough. And I had to go down and negotiate and find a way to make it happen and the person got their pension. So I've always attempted to intervene, but that should not be the blueprint to getting your pension. The blueprint should be the law, which is that HR persons, their job is to ensure they assist you. They look after the most important resource, the human resource. But too often times the files are placed in insecure or unsecured locations. So
Do
we
you
have a
do
vote
do you
and
know
the
that
vote is not properly attended.
do you know when I apply for my monies? I had, I started out to work as a special work in special works. Special works changed to URP. And
Mm-hmm.
I worked in secondary roads, which is under works department. I had was to move, go to works department, go to special works area in Roxborough, then go down Shaw Park. And I was to go 3-4 places. Plus, my name show that I work national security. I never work national security in my life. But my name came up that I have other years to bring in because some missing years can't be accounted for. And I have to find the years that missing where I work in under national security. This was such a, because Tobago's sun, I don't know if Tobago's sun get hotter, but for somebody who was 62 years of age, have to walk from Shaw Park Works Department, walk down the hill down to Shaw Park, catch a transportation, go to Roxborough, come back down, go to the warden's office there in Scarborough. Then you go back now to get my national insurance. Trust me, it was like hell. Yeah, and everybody you go to, like I went into a special office and the lady, she had in she headset and she bobbing and she weaving with she headset and I stand up there waiting for she to talk to me, to tell me that my name not in there under no national security. So I don't know who was getting paid under national security with my name.
Mama Coco, the hypocrisy of this government is that they are speaking about creating a digital footprint, a digital way of IDing people, right? A digital ID identification card. And yet they are not treating with your pension. It is not good.
It is not good.
To work their entire life dedicated to this country. Some of these persons don't even take a sick day. And because you don't have some big friends or some big name, you have to wait 2 and 3 and 4 years. You know, if you die, there is no passage of your pension onto your family. No.
You know, and that's really unfortunate because, like,
I didn't know that.
It goes back to the treasury. It goes back to the treasury.
That is so unfortunate because in the last year and a half, I know 2 friends, and when I'm telling you personal friends of mine, their moms died and their moms were both 58 years old. And it's so unfortunate that they worked all their lives, 2 years away from retiring, and they pass away and they're not going to get a cent of that money. It is so unfair and it's really, really hurtful and very, very, very sad.
So if you hire a lawyer and file for your estate, you still won't get the money?
No. It's not like that. The government pension is for you.
So why Kelvin Charles boasting? These are things that you have to tell him. Kelvin Charles, you've been working. No. Wait. Kelvin Charles, you have been working for the past 20 years. You have been working for the past 20 years in the Tobago House of Assembly. You know, he used to hit the hammer with Orville. So he was right there with Orville. And they chose him to clean up Orville mess. That's why they said, he cleaned up the mess so they feel they're free now, so they could throw him out and treat him like a dog. And he inside they believe, and I don't even think he should run back because he's not a politician. Brother, you're not a politician. And still working for the past how many years? As now he's chief sec. What he want to do as if he now start to work, he now knowing what happening, and still used to work in bank before he become a politician.
You're looking for public sympathy.
So it's until that make the post not the chief sec. Well, I hear so much Baba Bunga from the chief sec and how much gloating and cussing out and shaming people and say quoting Bible for everything. That's why I just get angry with people who calling up the name of the Lord, but they're not living the name of the Lord. He quote about how many scriptures you think he quote the last week? He quote real scripture. So Ansel is now the chief sec and he been working for the longest while. listen to me. I can't speak stuff that I have no evidence of. I'm speaking stuff I have evidence of. These people are jokers. Do you think, because we know something, because we know some things about Tracy Davidson, do you think she qualified to be the Secretary of Health?
Are you asking me the question?
Yes.
I think
Is she qualified? Do you think that we should have someone with some degree in medicine or something to be our Secretary of Health?
Allow me to answer the question from a more practical viewpoint. The Secretary for Health need not be a doctor or a medical professional, but the Secretary for Health must understand the state of healthcare in the country and where it needs to go. And having recognized that, they must then align themselves with people who could therefore give them good advice. So it's like anyone who listens to advice and has the ability to decipher good judgment from bad judgment would be in a good position to make a decision. I'm not sure that she has good advisors. I'm not sure that she's listening to good advice, because the decisions she is making are poor decisions. The former Secretary of Health had qualifications in health, but the decisions she made also.
In what way? In what way she was qualified in health?
The former Secretary of Health, that's Agatha Carrington. She used to be a hospital administrator in Port of Spain, and I think she used to lecture to people on healthcare. I'm not sure what discipline in healthcare, but something in health.
She had a PhD.
So she had a PhD something in health.
In science?
Something in health.
Anything
I'm
in
not
science?
Sure, something in health.
She knows how to name. She knows how to name equipment.
I'm not so sure the depth. What I'm saying, she had something in healthcare. So there's an appreciation for healthcare.
So she did a great job. She did a great job.
Not a great job.
Well, don't even speak of her right now. Speak about somebody else.
So that's what I'm saying.
The Tobago House of Assembly, in case you should get there, you and Farley, please find adequate people. You're not going to have a medical doctor that is in your party sitting down home doing trifling stuff like Denise Soyafat Angus. And because of your hatred for Denise and your selfishness, you're going to keep Denise, pushing Denise all around, and you take up the post of health minister. I do not like it.
But was Denise ever? Denise was never Secretary of Health at any time, right? She was never Secretary of Health at any time, right?
No, they never.
But that's what her qualifications.
They put her in culture.
She was in culture before.
And community development.
So what's she doing right now?
Yeah, and she's a doctor. She is a doctor.
She is a qualified medical doctor. She was running the hospital once upon a time until she and this guy from Delaford, Dr. Mentor, had the little beef and bath. I know of Tobago news, and I am a PNM.
You know, that was one of a doctor I was very comfortable with.
Everybody lifting up, yes, everybody lifting up Dr. Wheeler. Dr. Wheeler was on the opposition team. He wasn't a PNM. He was not a PNM. He was working with Kamla and others as a senator. But now he's in front of Denise Soyafat Angus, who they use that woman. And that is what we're doing. That's why our healthcare system cannot do good. That is why areas where they're putting everybody, number one, this is where we're going right now, because we're ending it in about 6 minutes. Listen to this story. You guys are hearing me, or they want to stick me now. I feel they want to stick me up now because I'm ready to talk. I have to say this. This is where my politics comes in. I'm here to tell people that the way that we are running our country, we are running it wrong. You don't know anything. 4 years ago, Nadine was the star. Nadine, who was a senator for a few months or how long, she became the star with 3 positions: transportation, tourism, and culture. 3. I talk about it from the minute she win, the minute they put her there. She mommy hate me, she make everybody else hate me and talk me in Tobago with things that they don't know of me, and things I know of them, I keeping it in reserve. I'm talking today. Now they're putting she up to run against you, and they take you now. They put you in to clean up Tracy mess, because Tracy have to answer the people, you know. I find you and you what's not. Others just have what she did in tourism and sweeping it underneath rug. She should not run again nowhere in Tobago until she explain that amount of corruption that she encouraged in tourism. That money should be investigated and given back to help put computers in the schools for our children. It's millions of dollars. Of London and Rowley, take she and sent you away to Costa Rica. Now she's my cousin. We are no cousin in my business. This is politics and discipline, tolerance for production. And she's supposed to explain why she went to Costa Rica, what she learned in Costa Rica, and why she cannot bring the money that is missing, even the money for Just Face. We should not encourage PNM. We should not encourage PNM in the slackness. To be honest, we should not vote them back into the Tobago House of Assembly. Millions of dollars are missing. And I don't like the politics in Tobago. I do not like what's happening. Sister Tracy family, people want to hear from you. Inquiring minds want to know what you did. All you embarrassed Frederica Brooks. Embarrass that woman while everybody stay in the background. Why the opposition not demanding an audit for Tobago House of Assembly?
That's the opposition in Trinidad has to demand that.
No. Opposition in Tobago have to demand audit.
Well, there have been several audits by the Auditor General, and
I
we know
want
what
my
the
cousin
reports.
Tracy at my show. Tracy, don't worry, people play the supporting you, you know. Everybody bad talking you. And your cousin Cora here, and I'm sending an invitation for you. I know you might be too big to come on my show, but you ain't too clever to sit with me. Because see, a lot of people that play smart. They want to be wise, but they're not clever. You cannot fool people when the money is still missing. The bank in Tobago is supposed to tell us who received that ghost money that leave Tobago House of Assembly and went to England or wherever it went. Just first money that's missing, we need to know about these things. Why are we moving forward? Why are we encouraging younger people to learn how to steal and to get away with murder?
No, you know, it's unfortunate because that's what they learned. And that's what's just been passing down throughout the political culture. And we have people that defend this political culture.